Isn't good, pal? Isn't you?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Man, I'm almost like in your vocal range.
Yeah,
I'm Batman.
I think you need to get. Sick more often. Your voice sounds more rich.
It really does.
Well, not whenever you try.
Well, I'm Batman.
Oh boy.
No laughing on this episode at all because I just go into like a coughing fit.
My question is this?
Here we go.
And we were kind of talking about this before we hit record.
I know we were.
But I don't understand, man. How is it possible? Well, I have a theory, but I want to hear yours. How are you always sick, bro?
I really don't know because I feel
when you take supplements that aren't FDA approved, God only knows what's inside of those capsules. Dude, I have a theory, and I'm just going to break in with it now.
I don't trust the FDA as far as I can throw it. But
all I'm saying is you are always sick, and I'm just saying that.
I'm not always sick,
dude.
I've actually been pretty healthy for the last couple of years. Since
Dude,
I've been taking it.
Hey, man. Anybody that knew us back in the Moso days.
No. I'm saying back then, yes. But I've been on this good mixture lately, and
nope.
I've been doing pretty good. But man, this winter has just been like I don't know how I'm sick again because I feel like I was literally just sick 2 weeks ago.
Otherwise known as.
But I will say it's not it's not as bad. I don't really feel. I'm just tired and weird throat stuff.
I don't really feel bad. I'm just exhausted and I don't want to get out of bed. Just normal old stuff.
And I'm just coughing and there's a bronchial issue.
Can't breathe.
Probably
but, just normal.
Fluid on my lungs.
Yeah, it's normal. Anyway.
But nothing major.
Nothing major, but boy, do I feel like the portrait of health. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I will say anybody that's listening that doesn't have children, the second they go to school, the amount of germ infestation that happens whenever they get back from school, it's just the first couple of years, you're either everyone in the house is either you got a stuffy nose, they're throwing up, or just it's always something, man.
Well, I kind of have a theory too that a little bit of this may be from we went to a place called Urban Air.
Oh, God.
In Buford.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, actually. It's super fun. There's trampolines and obstacle course and but we spent a lot of time in this giant ball pit obstacle course thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel just all those germs on those balls just.
Dude, you need to research, do a little internet sleuthing on why they took those puppies out of McDonald's. Remember those ball pits, dude? Those things were the best, man.
They were there. I'm telling you, dude. Go to this place. You just
no.
It's
now,
amazing.
As an adult, and I am having an understanding of germs and infection, you will not. It's you dive into those foam pits, and before you do, you're like, God, this looks like so much fun. Then you get in there, and it's just sweaty foam, and you're like, oh God, it's disgusting.
Oh yeah. Although I will say, a lot of that stuff just doesn't really work on me.
What does that mean?
I'm saying, I still bite my fingernails, even though I've seen,
no.
all the germs and stuff.
I used to, but then I read this book. It's so random. I mean, I literally bit my fingernails my entire life. One time, my great-grandmother even was like, oh, I didn't know you bit your fingernails. That's disgusting. I'm like, huh.
She's like, get out.
But I love you. No, and again, doesn't matter. It didn't matter what class I took or whatever. I still bit my fingernails. But then for some reason, there was just this moment. I read this book, and this guy was talking about how he was in this meeting, and it became such a habit that he didn't realize he was doing it. And this guy was like, hey, man, the whole meeting, you're just trying to sell this multi-million-dollar property or whatever, and you got your fingers in your mouth. And it's kind of gross. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, dude, I've been in meetings before. I'm just hands in mouth. And it is kind of gross. So I made a conscious decision. And I just stopped biting my fingernails, man. And just use, we're getting real kind of.
Boy, we are.
Hey, folks, welcome to season 3.
Welcome back to your favorite podcast in 2023, That Would Be Rad, a podcast that majors in 80s and 90s nostalgia, comic culture, all things paranormal, and minors in retro video games, tabletop RPGs, pre-internet mysteries, and raising our kids to be half as cool as we were back in the 80s. I'm your host, Tyler Bentz, and this is your other host,
Woody Brown.
Hey, pal.
Hey, man, I always get so nervous for you. Like, is he going to make it in one breath? When's he going to swallow? Like, there's that moment when you're just like, and then like on just now, it's like, you tried so hard, man. Hey, I'm proud of you, dude. You tried to make it. And then you're like, paranormal. And then, dude, it's the funniest thing.
Oh, well, it's literally the second that I did it, I was in my mind, I was like, well, he'll just edit that out.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's going to make fun of me.
Well, I knew that was coming. But, one thing that I didn't even think about this before I started, you knowing good and well, since we've talked for like 20 minutes before we started, I have a little bit of a rasp in my voice yet.
You have a rash?
Rash in my vocal cords. And yet I was still made to do the intro.
Well, look, I like the way I think your voice sounds a little bit better. I mean, so.
Well,
I guess we'll let the voters.
Hey, man, I want to say I really miss you and I miss our friends and our family, in our That Would Be Rad family. It's been a long time. This break has been really nice, and having the kids at home has been pretty cool. Both of our kids, my kids went back this week, but yours went back, I guess, last week.
Last week, yeah.
So that's been fun, but also a little annoying.
Yeah, dude. Oh, God, it's so funny, man. I was talking to this lady the other day, and I was like, yeah, man, gosh, the kids are back in school today, so, hey, can't complain. She's like, yeah, I'm a teacher. I was like, yes, ma'am. Boy. Well, we're very proud of what you do, and very thankful for you.
Dude, all those teachers out there, if we have any listeners that are teachers, man, we both tip our hats to you because...
Oh, my gosh, dude. You deserve $1 million a year.
100%.
And I'm not even over-exaggerating. Yeah. Teachers deserve so much, man. Mm-hmm. They make such an incredible impact in people's lives. I know I can think of, like, several teachers that I had, if not almost all of them, that were just, man, I don't know. I think about them a lot. The things that they taught me and inspired me.
So what I was saying before is I've really missed everybody. And Woody and I have specifically kind of chosen not to really talk much. So there's going to be a lot of rambling on this episode because we're just kind of getting all of it out of our system,
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I know, like, typically it's like, oh, man, we want to have this, like, big season premiere and all this kind of stuff. And, and that's awesome. But like Tyler said, we took a large break so that we could, just kind of like recharge and re-energize. And not that we were getting tired of the show or anything, but, hey, golly, boy, 12 separate mini episodes and a gigantic, almost 3-hour episode to edit through. My eyes were a little crossed. But, we kind of, typically, Tyler and I both, if we're not recording an episode, we're talking every single day about different things. I mean, that's just how we've always been. And so we kind of saved it all up to kind of, reconnect with you guys and each other and kind of talk about the things that we've been up to over the past couple weeks and, that kind of thing. But real quick, before we do all of that, dude, I got to say, like, folks, if this is your first time listening to our show, then this will be the first time you hear it. But if not, then you've probably heard this like 1 million times over. And it's something that we talk about a lot. And you might be tired of it, but I'm sorry, we're going to always talk about it. And I think I can speak for you here, man. Like, both you and I are always amazed by, I guess, the reality of, our show having any kind of impact on people out there in the world. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing, really,
Yeah.
And obviously, I hope it goes without saying that, ideally, it's a positive impact, and I think we strive to do that. But before we kind of like dive into the meat of the episode, I just kind of wanted to take a quick second to thank so many of you that kind of reached out to us during this holiday break, and whether it was through Instagram or sending us messages via our website or emails and even the amazing Christmas packages that we got and even some show topic requests and stuff. I mean, we literally have the best listeners on the planet, man. So real quick, a special thanks to, and I'm just going to say some first names here. You know who you are, so, I'm not going to say last names, but thank you to Lana, Julian, Jonathan, Clay, Lauren, Amy, spelled Aimee, which is super rad. I always loved that spelling. Bruce, the dudes over at Wizards, Michael, Brendan, Matt, Christian C., another Christian C., Matt Man, of course, and so many more. We just can't thank you enough for reaching out to us over this break or sending us things, letting us know how much you love the show, that kind of stuff. It just absolutely means the world to both of us.
Yes, it really does.
There's a couple of the packages that we got that had to be talked about today.
What do you mean packages? I haven't seen one package.
Hey, man, welcome to my world. It went to our P.O. box. Okay. Which we might get a new number, so I'm not going to announce the P.O. box number right this second. But anyway,
Okay.
Our good friends, Jonathan and Julie from Texas, have a great understanding of my love for things and all things spicy. Now, I will tell you, the beautiful thing about Instagram is that you have a chance to kind of, see a peek into people's lives, right? And I'm going to go ahead and readily admit that both Julie and Jonathan are far more hardcore than I am when it comes to spicy stuff. And I know this because, like, they'll share, like, a Instagram story or something where they're like, oh, man, we tried this hot sauce. It's awesome. And I'm like, oof, man, that's intense. Well, much to our surprise, they sent us 3 bottles of some hot sauces from one of our favorite shows that we like to watch called Hot Ones.
Yep.
And if you haven't watched that show, you can look, you can watch old past episodes on YouTube, of course, but it's from First We Feast. And it's that show where the host basically, he'll interview celebrities, athletes, musicians, movie stars, just interesting people. And it's just such a cool concept for a show because what they do is he'll ask them a series of questions while they go down this gauntlet of, typically it's chicken wings, but sometimes if they're vegan, it's like vegan chicken wings. But yeah, they'll go through this gauntlet starting at like lowest to hottest. So these people are like eating spicy foods while at the same time trying to answer these questions. It's just a brilliant concept and it's really entertaining. So I highly suggest it. But anyhow,
well,
she sent us. Go ahead.
And it kind of like disarms them. So it like
yeah, man. It makes the person. It's cool because it makes them more relatable. They're like
human.
It humanizes them very quickly. And I feel like the guy that is the host, gosh, I forgot his name. Go ahead and look that up for me. The guy that interviews folks has this like really cool way of just, I don't know, pulling out information from these folks that you don't really get a chance to see anywhere else. It's not like them sitting on a chair for a late night show where they're kind of like, okay, I need to promote this or I need to whatever. They're just like being real people and they're laughing and joking and also going through a terrible time trying to eat this spicy food.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Sean Evans, by the way.
Sean Evans, yeah. Again, of course, thank you, Julie and Jonathan. But what's amazing is they sent us one of them called The Bomb Evolution. Now, something that I did not know before watching the show was a thing called the Scoville scale.
Yep.
What that is basically is a numeric scale that ranks food's hotness or spiciness, okay?
Like a measurement.
It's Scoville heat units, all right? And so just to give you some context, all right, because I think most people out there listening have probably tried a jalapeno before. A jalapeno typically falls in the range of about 2,000 to 8,000 Scoville heat units, all right? Whereas like some of the hottest peppers in the world are like closer to 1 million. So,
Jeez.
Again, jalapeno, 2,000 to 8,000 That's the typical one. So if you've had like a really hot jalapeno, you're like, whoa, that one's hot, 8,000. So we'll start there just for context. Again, jalapeno, 8,000. So the hot ones, classic hot sauce is somewhere, I think around, they've got their own scale for the show, but it's like a 2 out of 10, okay, in terms of spiciness. So it's your typical sort of like buffalo sauce probably. And then this other one they sent called Los Calientes Verde, which is like a green hot sauce. It's like a 5 out of 10. And so I'm excited about that one. But now, let me talk about the bomb for a second.
Oh, boy.
So they also have a hot sauce there on the show called The Last Dab. It's the last one typically. I don't know if it still is because I haven't seen many of the newer episodes. But I think The Last Dab is, in the multi-million Scoville unit range. Same with the bomb. I think it's actually like 500,000 Scoville units. But listen, folks, like when you start getting in, like again, jalapeno, 8,000. Now we're talking about 500,000.
Yeah.
Let's just say this is going to hurt. But I made a commitment. Whenever we got this in the mill, I said, Tyler and I are going to try these and we're going to film it. Yeah. So I'm saying that on the show now to put it out there in the universe so that we have some I almost said compatibility. What,
like
accountability from you, the listeners. Like, hey guys, where's the video? Because we're going to do it. And I can't wait to see Tyler's face. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to film him first.
No, you're not.
What do you mean? Okay, we'll do it where we're doing it at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
I got to say, I'm a fan of the show as well. We both love it. And if you have, just real quick, if you haven't seen the show, just go on YouTube and look up the Paul Rudd episode.
Oh yeah, it's a great one.
I mean, he's just great in general, but it's so good. And it's like probably like the most sort of classic episode. But as soon as I showed up to play Dungeons and Dragons over the holidays at Woody's house, I look up on the shelf and I'm like, oh man, where did you get that? He's like, oh yeah,
dude,
Julie and Jonathan sent it over.
No.
And I saw that it was Da Bomb, and I had zero excitement about it. I immediately was like, oh, we're going to have to do this, aren't we?
Yeah, man. Oh, I can't wait.
I am legitimately like kind of scared.
Oh, and like you should be, because like I said, I have tried The Last Dab, and I want to say like The Last Dab, it's like 2.5 million or something like that.
Well, apparently The Last Dab is like technically more.
I think it's because the way that they do the order, it is more. But I think like when you go down the line like that, I think you're just numb, dude. When I tried it, we did it as like a challenge at work. Like one of our friends got me The Last Dab, and I was like, oh man, we got to try, or like brought it to the office, something like that. And we tried it. Man, I'm not joking around. Like this is what I felt like. So just having a little dab, it made my body feel like crazy. In other words, if I was looking across this like large valley, and on the hilltops was just all these soldiers on horseback, and they just came rushing down, and I'm the only guy out there. Picture like Jon Snow in the episode of the Battle of the Bastards, right?
Exactly what I was thinking.
All I need to get brave and have the energy to destroy them all would be one little lick of this hot sauce. That's what my body felt like. I felt like I was going to spin off the planet, man. I felt insane.
Yeah.
And then I had a little bit more, and that was a terrible idea.
Why did you have more?
Well, because I was like, it's very flavorful, actually, man. It tasted really good. It's just I thought maybe I can handle just a little bit more. And then a little bit too much came out, and I didn't want to. So I was like, man, who cares? I was like, see, it's not that bad. 10 seconds later,
dear God,
I didn't know if I was going to throw up. I didn't know if I was going to die.
Yeah, they say that like there's like a range of like sort of reactions. Like some people say that like it's almost like they go into like anxiety, like panic mode.
Yes,
which is sort of what I'm a little afraid of.
Yeah,
but then other people are like, I feel like I just took a hit of acid. Like they feel like it's almost like a high almost.
Yeah, I kind of it's because your body is going into straight up shock, man.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, I feel like your adrenaline's going nuts. I mean, as we know, I think I talked about it, and it feels weird to say it like this, but last season, after I got back from Disney, when I called you after getting off the Guardians of the Galaxy ride,
Oh yeah.
my body's like, dude, you're not made for this stuff, man. Because like it was like early in the morning. I know it's Florida, but it was still like a cooler day.
Yeah.
And we rode the ride at like 9 o'clock.
God, I love it.
And I started calling you, and like I had to put you on speakerphone because I was sweating so much for no reason. My body's just like freaking out, dude. And I'm just like drenched in sweat, and I just felt like an idiot. That's basically, I think, one of the physical reactions that maybe this hot sauce will trigger. But I'm excited about it. And again, Julie and Jonathan, dude, thank you so much. Ultimate surprise. Now, one more gift box. Now, these are to me, actually. But so I got to say thank you to Clay here, who sent me a couple books, man.
That's it, Clay. We're done.
The novel version of Gremlins. And it's got like the classic picture on the cover of like, Billy sort of like holding the box with Gizmo's hands coming out. It looks so awesome. I've got this like new obsession with these like sort of novel versions of these movies, they're just fun to collect. One more thing for me to put on shelves, says my wife. But he also sent me a Battlestar Galactica book.
Boy, it just keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. And then lastly, it's this little paperback. It's Doctor Who and the Loch Ness Monster.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
So I know nothing about Doctor Who other than what I researched when I had a commission. And I kind of want to sort of get into it, but it's so vast that it's like...
Yeah, I know, it's intimidating.
It's like the point of entry is like very difficult in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
I've heard like maybe...
use for Lost.
For what?
Lost.
Well, no, I've heard that like you can start... Of course, I forget his name. The Matt, what's his last name? The guy that played like Daemon in the new Game of Thrones. The actor.
Yes. It's not new Game of Thrones. It's like House of the Dragon or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah, it's not new. It's actually old. But I've been told that like you can start at his season and work your way up, and then if you want to go back, you can or whatever. Yeah. I know it's like
he's got a really difficult name to remember. Matt Smith.
Oh God, is it really Smith?
Yeah, literally.
Oh geez, that's pretty easy. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think for me the hard part is, and I think it's probably the same with you because like we're pretty similar in this way. Is like as much as I like love that like old school like 70s weird blurry glare like British TV look. There's I don't know. There's like an element of like cheesiness to that older stuff that I feel like I'm like I don't know that I can do that. Yeah. But I mean, as cool as I think that era was, but like sitting down and watching like seasons of that, I'm just like I don't know that I can do it. But I mean, there's people that are just like totally obsessed with it. Speaking of like old things, for the very first time this year, my wife and I sat down and watched It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh my gosh, dude.
For the very first time.
I watched it for the first time, not this year, but last year for the first time.
Dude, it is amazing.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
but
I don't know how
I couldn't have watched it as a kid though, man, and had the same appreciation.
Right, exactly.
Right?
I'm really glad that I watched it now. And also there's another thing too. So after we watched like a colorized version. And the whole time I just kept thinking like, this is the most beautiful, like I could tell that it was like digitally like recolored, but there's some like magic in that when they digitally like color like a film that was shot in black and white. Like it's almost like an art form of its own. And the whole time I just kept thinking like, man, this is so beautiful. Like it is a stunning movie. And so then I found out afterwards like, oh, it is in black and white. And I was talking to Clay about it, and him and I were having the same conversation. But, dude, it is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen I mean, I've just, like, heard of, it's like parents and grandparents are all like, oh, you got to watch this. And I'm just
watch
like,
it.
Whatever.
Yeah, they would do that. I mean, literally, they would turn it on when I was a kid. I'd be like,
right,
black and white. If it's going to be black and white back then, I was like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Just dumb like kid things. And I truly feel like I can't sit my kids down and be like, watch this movie. I feel like If you're a kid that enjoyed it growing up and stuff, it became like a sort of that nostalgic traditional thing that you did every year. And so you had appreciation for it. Or maybe you were just a little bit more mature than I was whenever I was a kid and could appreciate that stuff more. But I feel like now as an adult, because, funny that you say that, it was Clay that convinced me, I think last year, to watch it, and I trust his opinion. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. Yeah. Dude, I was blown away, man. It's so good. So good.
And also, I don't know that you can watch it and not like tear up at the end.
No. Dude, I come on. We've talked about this before. I'm Italian. I cry at commercials that are on TV.
Yeah, same. I mean, we're just
emotional dudes. And you're, I would consider you just based on,
here we go.
You're old, fat, like you're definitely emo.
Yeah.
But we're not judging. We're supportive of each other.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
America's future can be determined by our dreams and our visions.
It was very intense, bright light.
For over 200 years, there have been reports of giant man-like creatures.
From another dimension, another world, I don't know.
The most intriguing mystery on the North American continent.
This is Joshua Cutchin, and you're at my home for weirdness. That would be rad.
I will say, like, speaking of emo, I kind of have, like, gone back to, like, some of those bands that, like, so for reference here, and I'm not going to, like, get really into this, but for reference here, when Woody and I started the Modern Society, it was sort of a continuation of, like, bands like The Strokes, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Interpol, like, that sort of, like, stripped back. So it's like you had... Early 2000s you had, and I guess even late 90s, you had like emo, and like then it sort of blossomed into like this ultra polished like screamo, and then like it was very like commercialized, and then it was sort of blended with like pop punk and like all that stuff. And so when Woody and I started the Modern Society, our old band, we were trying to do the exact opposite of that. Like we were, I had been in a previous band that was like really polished, and we were like, no man, we want like everything we do on the record we need to be able to pull off live, and we want it to be like old school and like analog and not polished at all. And so but I gotta say, man, since the music industry is so awful at this point, I've kind of like gone back to a little bit of that stuff.
Look, I tease you about it, and
I love it.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there. I know. And around that era, too, I think what we came from a time when, like, we weathered the storm through the boy band and Britney Spears era. Yeah. And when Rolling Stone magazine named Britney Spears as, like, the musician of the year, that's whenever I stopped, like, reading Rolling Stone, number one. But it's just the result at the time was we were so sick of the overly produced, overly like poppy stuff that was written by like one group of songwriters and then just sung by different artists. We were so pleasantly, I don't know, we were just like consuming so much music that was like kind of rewinding back to the stuff that got us into music in the first place, with like these dudes are in a garage writing songs and playing music together. That like when the Strokes hit the scene, we're like, whoa, my gosh, man. And even like the stuff that people consider emo, it kind of like, I don't know, gets on my nerves anyway. Like I don't consider Jimmy Eat World emo, but like.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, listening back now, I feel like when people are like, oh, like Jimmy Eat World and Yellow Card, it's like, no. Those, like the Clarity album from Jimmy Eat World, there's a band called Mineral. I feel like that stuff came from like bands like Super Drag and Guided by Voices, and it's like it was more like that, like sort of continuation from the late 80s into that sort of, I mean, it's really more like I guess post-hardcore.
I think like, when, I don't know, man, like anyways, it turned a lot of people into music snobs, myself included. Now, it's just different. I go back and listen to that stuff, and even the cheesy stuff, I'm like, man, Yeah.
Like I hated Fall Out Boy, but like oddly enough, compared to like what's in the music landscape today, it's like, and I know there's some great bands, like don't get me wrong,
good artists and stuff,
but it's like even the stuff that I was just like so like against back then, it's like, wow, this is 1,000 times better than anything new.
And dude, I used to be so like anti. Like we used to talk about Pete Wentz all the time.
Oh,
dude. Like this guy sucks, But like, dude, I listened to an interview with him not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago, and the guy, it was actually really good. It made me like, man, dang, I wish I wouldn't have even harbored that kind of negativity towards somebody I don't know. But yeah, dude, I've kind of gone down a rabbit trail of Taking Back Sunday and My Chemical Romance and that kind of stuff. There's still a couple bands that I'm just like, ugh, I just couldn't get into. Like one of them, for example, and folks listening, don't hate me for this, but I just had like AFI, man. That guy just I just can't like. He's the type, and look, he's probably a nice guy, and there's some good songs maybe and all this. But
you're talking about Davey Havoc.
I don't know what his name is. He's the guy who, like, that's what they were like, cool emo.
Yeah. Well,
but then that's what I'm saying. Like, it makes me mad that Jimmy World, who's dude, their brilliance is on so many different levels, and unfortunately, people don't give it a chance because they consider they're in the emo section of Sam Goody.
It's in the same.
Yeah, dude.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're like penchant for like songwriting and like creating melodies, dude. Like especially like the Clarity album is one of my all-time favorite records of all time, and it's like, it's like there'll be songs that'll be like 9 minutes long, and like stuff like that, and it is a true like masterpiece. It's amazing. Yeah, man. I will say this about AFI. Like I was kind of the same way, but I had a friend that was really into them, and so I think it's like, I'm probably saying this wrong, but I think it's called Sing the Sorrow or something. But the only reason that I did like it is there was a little bit of an element of like a concept album, which I'm always kind of a fan of. Like that's why I originally liked like 30 Seconds to Mars. I mean, I think there's some great songs still from them, but I just like, I love the idea of like a concept record. And so that album just felt sort of cohesive from like front to back, which, I mean, us being like songwriters and musicians and, recording in studios and stuff, it's like, we've always like paid attention to those details. It wasn't just like, oh, here's a song and here's another song. It was like, no. All these songs sort of work together to create something
cohesively
better. Yeah, it's like better as a whole. And so I did like that album, but like there is a lot of the stuff that like, you'll see like best AFI top 10, and it's like, I hate all those songs. Yeah. It's like the stuff that I like was never like
better. Yeah, it was almost like, to me, they were better before they were on TRL. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Before, and I don't know if it's just, I just don't like the way the guy looks when he sings. I know that sounds so shallow, but it's just like the second I saw this dude on a video, I'm just like, oh. And, but again, there's millions of people that would disagree, and that's fine, dude. It's just, to me, there were like other bands that I got into in that era that like, I just got into. I don't know.
I think that they did probably inspire a lot of what like My Chemical Romance did, and then I think AFI was inspired by a band called Alkaline Trio, where and I think this is really cool. I mean, it's a little gimmicky now in retrospect, but at the time it was like really amazing. So you have these songs that are like, I mean, straight up like pop punk songs. I mean, they're like all major chords, like very fast, like, whatever. But it's like the lyrical content, especially Alkaline Trio for sure. And then there was another band called Saves the Day, which I really loved. And they, like one of my favorite songs. I can't think of the title, but it's like, and I'll take this awkward saw and run it against your spine.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was these gruesome, like, sort of like horror type, gore kind of stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
you know?
Saves the Day was actually really good at, like, it's just very, like, odd lyrics with, like, that.
Super poppy.
Yeah, like, very accessible melodies and stuff. Like, I mean, the song that put them on the sort of pop charts or like popular map was At Your Funeral, and the whole song is about, like, you know, him singing the Requiem at somebody's funeral, and he's gonna let her drown and watch her die and stuff, you know. And you're like, first, like, as you're listening to, you're like, oof, this is kind of it's kind of intense. Should I be listening to this? Sure. And at your funeral, you know. Yeah, but dude, okay, you brought up My Chemical Romance, and again, like,
boy, we are going off.
We're going off the rails here. Is that okay? You think? Or
see what I mean, guys? This is what I'm talking about.
Should this be called like season 3, episode 0.5 or something? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, Woody and I haven't really. I mean, we pretty much talked every day, but it's been like really short. And it was like, oh no, let's save it for the podcast. So this is just what our conversation would go into. So I hope this is okay.
Yeah. Hey, man. Guess what? It's our show. It's always okay.
That's true. That's true.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. Because
My Chemical Romance.
Could you say My Chemical any weirder or slower?
My Chemical Romance.
Alpha Brain. My Chemical Romance. Oh, I was just going to say, you know, something that I think they did really well was that sort of concept album idea. And, you know, like, yeah, I get when people are like, ugh, because one thing that I always said when we first started the band was like, look, dude, I'm not here to spin my guitar around my neck and, you know, and like you go back and you watch some of that Fall Out Boy like live performances, like, hey man, stand still for a second and just play.
Although I did used to do the guitar spin in my previous band.
Yeah, I know that, and that's why we had that conversation. I was like, hey man, like let's you know, do what you feel. But don't do something because, you know, and not to say that, that you were, but it's just like so many people think that like, oh man, I got to be in a band. Well, like I got to take some like gymnastics lessons first because everybody that we're doing is flipping around. And all. It's like, nah, man.
Well, I do got to say this. I do think that our band, The Modern Society, was like, we placed a lot of emphasis on like stage presence, but it wasn't like, it was never manufactured. It was like, we're just happy to be doing what we're doing. And we're so excited. And we're like moving around a lot and doing cool moves and all that stuff. But like what you're saying with, you know, when you would see like Fall Out Boy and stuff, it's like these guys sounded awful live. Yeah. And it's like they're running around and like spinning their guitars.
Doing the
like,
kick thing, like, and doing like a spin kick. You're like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
It's like, you're playing like you're missing like 3 notes out of the 4-chord progression. You know, it's like let's focus on that first and then do the other stuff.
I really watched a lot of movies during this break. Some of them with the kids. One in particular, because he just begged me nonstop. My son wanted to watch the Terminator movies. If you recall,
we haven't talked about.
Yeah, if you recall, Terminator 1. Has a little nudity. So, and also I just felt like, you know what, man?
Pretty dark.
Well, it was more just like, I just feel like that's not the one to introduce him to, because I feel like he's going to be, by the time I get through that one, he's going to be like, I don't really know. So I decided, right or wrong, I'm going to let him watch Terminator 2. Now, to give you a little more sort of context here, this is a rated R movie. My son, who's 10, never seen a rated R movie. And so it was a little bit of a struggle for me. But I thought, you know, here's the deal. We talk about this on the show a lot as well. And that is that, like, by the time I was 10, I'd seen, you know, at least Alien and Aliens and, you know, Terminator 1. Terminator 2 wasn't out yet because it came out in 92. But I'd seen my share, Bloodsport, like I'd seen my share of rated R movies.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
American Ninja.
all that stuff, man. And so I thought, RoboCop, like when the dude melts and now that's not to say that I want to like show my son this like mentally scarring imagery that is, in a lot of these 80s movies. But I thought, dude, Terminator 2, it's, come on, it's time to toughen up. So we start watching it. Mm-hmm. Now I did make him turn away. I think there was like 2 scenes that I can think of. The first one being when he calls his step-parents and it shows like the stepmom and she like knifes the stepdad or whatever through the mouth.
Yeah.
I'd made him turn away for that. I don't want to see that. The other one was...
by the way, before we move on from that, there's something about the way that was shot that like, when I think of like, like when Woody first mentioned this to me, like the first thing in my mind was like, oh yeah, there's the weird like milk carton scene, like just the way it's shot and like it's it's in full daylight and everything, but it's just I don't know, it stuck with me.
Yeah.
No
pun intended there, but also the scene where like the redheaded security officer basically gets like the T-1000 basically uses his finger and stretches it out towards like the guy and just like pokes him in the eye with it. I made him turn away there. But other than that, man, I gotta say, like, well, first, let me get to the punchline here. He absolutely loved it. While we're watching, he's like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. And like, he'll just be walking around the house going, chun, 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 chun.
Yes.
Chun, 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 chun,
That is the best theme song.
Oh, so good, dude. And even like during the intro, like right whenever it shows the Terminator and it's like the fire and it's just like the metal, he's like, oh my God, I'm obsessed already. And so I got to say though, so that was awesome. I felt great. And he wants to see Terminator 1, but I was like, let's wait a little bit. The action and like the things that make it rated R besides those 2 scenes that I mentioned are really just like the F-bombs.
Yeah,
and
some language stuff.
That's it, man. Like the actual like violent action outside of that is super cheesy, dude. Like when they shoot like actual humans, they're like, oh, and there's no...
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the dream, like with the chain link fence.
Yeah, that part was kind of
a little intense.
But,
I will say probably the most like, I mean, looking back now, it's like, it's super bad. But like when Sarah Connor is like in the mental facility or whatever, dude. And like she sees like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming and it's like, she's running and she like
going back,
slows down and like falls back. That part is amazing.
Yeah, so I paused it. I paused it right before that. Well, actually, like well before that, because the first time you see Sarah Connor in that film too, I always remember being like amazing because I had already seen Terminator 1, and so folks that
was she doing like the pull-ups?
The
first time.
Yeah, and you don't really like if you've seen Terminator 1 and then you go and see Terminator 2. You have to remember that there's been some time in between those movies. I think Terminator 1 came out in like 86 maybe. I could be wrong. And then Terminator 2 came out in 92. Classic sort of James Cameron like time gap there. Although I'm glad he did because we had the technology to make the liquid metal.
Oh, dude, there was nothing cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said this on the show, but I literally broke into...
God. That's why you're sick all the time, dude.
Yeah,
played with mercury
poison. I broke into like an old thermostat that had like messed up in our house, and I had like a chemistry set, of course, and I had like a test tube that I would carry around at school with mercury.
Good Lord.
In it, and I would like do it on like my hands and like other kids in class, and it was
oh my gosh,
this is a Terminator.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we don't get sued. His name's Tyler Benz. You can reach it. No. Man, what was I talking about before you interrupted me?
No. Just talking about,
so
like
the
technology.
You go in and like the last time you saw Sarah Connor, she's just like this cute little 80s curly haired like girl. Yeah. And then like this and I just thought that was, I just love that James Cameron did it this way because then it's like you've got this psychiatrist or, kind of walking around with some students, whatever. He's like, and then this lady thinks that and you're like, oh my gosh, is this going to be her? And then you just see her, like, you just see this super fit gal, just like
tough as hell, dude.
Just like doing pull-ups, and then she turns around, she's like, and you're like, whoa. So I paused it before that, so because I wanted him to know that significance and context, and so like I paused it before this. I was like, okay, here's what happened in the first one, just so you know. She's like this, soft, innocent. I mean, she works at like a restaurant or a coffee house or something,
and she's just like on the run the whole time.
Yeah,
right?
with Kyle Reese is the name of John Connor's dad. So she's just running around, and the actor there, Michael, God, however you pronounce his last name, Michael Bain or Bahan.
He was awesome.
He played Ringo in Tombstone.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they're just kind of like running away from, and she, from the Terminator coming after him. And so like I had told him about that and told him about how Arnold Schwarzenegger, and here's the best part, dude. Because I told him in the beginning, I was like, oh man, there's two Terminators. Because in the beginning, somewhere, I don't remember how maybe it's like in a voiceover, but yeah. As the intro goes along, they're talking about how John Connor sent a Terminator back, and then Skynet sent a Terminator back too. And so he first sees Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, "Is that the good one or the bad one?" I was like, "I'm not. You're gonna have to find out." So he didn't know. So I tell him all that, and then he now knows as John Connor's hanging out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who the bad one is by this point. And so like he got it all now because of that context, which I thought was cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I feel like I definitely would have seen the first Terminator first, but Terminator 2 definitely was like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
like,
dude. I mean,
I saw it at the theaters like 3
how bad
times.
did you want to be Eddie Furlong, man?
Oh my God. I had his
haircut,
hair.
dude. Yeah, man.
Oh,
dude,
yeah, dude.
So cool, man.
I mean, rode hard
like,
and put up wet, though.
Oh, boy, poor guy, man.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But okay, so besides Terminator 2, we saw some like new...
Oh, real quick. Sorry, before we move on. Also, was it the T-1000? Is that the...
Yeah, yep.
The
That's
metallic?
the liquid metal guy.
Yeah. There was like nothing as cool as that when I, like, just visually, and I mean, I know we kind of had a glimpse of that in like the movie The Abyss. You remember?
Yeah.
It kind of had a little bit of that same liquid metal kind of look.
Yeah,
but
technology.
Man, just like brilliant ways, because especially the first Terminator and Schwarzenegger in the second one, it was all very like heavy like technology, like metal and like wires, and the part where which is such a great part, where he like rips his like hand off, or rips like the skin off of his hand, and he has like the metallic like exoskeleton,
the
endoskeleton.
the
Endoskeleton. That's right. Compared to like this sort of unstoppable, very sort of mercurial, no pun intended, but like this thing that you can't stop because it's made out of like this sort of, it's like trying to contain water. It's like, I will say too that I can't really remember any of the other Terminator movies after that, but I will say the last one that came out.
So good.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, man. You know why?
It was great.
It was the only other Terminator one that James Cameron,
right?
Yeah, he came back, and it's like, we know there's going to be big trucks.
Yeah,
we know there's going to be cool action,
shotguns,
and some other sort of like innovative sort of visual thing. And yeah, dude, I loved it. Now, I got to say, just like there's like a handful of movies, and I think we talked about this before, but there's a handful of movies that my wife and I just will watch it no matter what. The King Kong and Godzilla stuff, doesn't matter how crappy it is, we're going to watch it. Like the big monsters and like that kind of action is just amazing. Terminator movies, we've seen them all, love them.
Are you guys big like Pacific Rim?
No, I mean, I think she's seen Pacific Rim. I've tried to watch, and it's not because it's not good. I've tried to watch the first one like dozens of times, and I make it about halfway through, and for whatever reason, either I fall asleep or something comes up. Yeah. I need to sit down and watch it.
I mean, to me, it kind of misses the mark. I mean, you were talking about like big monsters, and like I thought of like the kaiju and stuff.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, man. It's
it
just
is
like
a cool
it feels
concept.
a little like it's a cool concept, but is it like too sophisticated? Like I got to figure out. My mind has to, like what? How does it work? Just drive a robot.
Well, it kind of feels like a little like fake.
Yeah.
In a weird way, like it feels like everything is on a green screen, which
yeah.
I mean, it probably was,
yeah.
but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of like human interaction, really. I don't know.
I do love that
something-
guy, man. What's his name? Charlie something?
Oh, I almost said Charlie Watts, and that's rest in peace. Charlie.
Anyway, the guy from I never watched Sons of Anarchy, but he was in that. But like he was also.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Charlie from Always Sunny.
Oh no, that guy. Yeah, his name is Charlie something too. Charlie Day. Charles Day. Charlie Day is that guy. But what's the other guy?
And then is your Charlie Hunnam?
Something like that. He played King Arthur, and then in The Gentleman, he was in The Gentleman.
Oh, dude! By the way, if you guys haven't seen that movie,
maybe the best movie.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one of the best movies of all time.
I agree, dude. It
in
is
terms
such
of
a good
action,
movie.
story,
Cast.
freaking cast. I mean, Guy Ritchie, man, he can make a movie. I watched a couple weird, scary movies, dude.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
You go first.
We'll return after these messages.
It's a pretty cool place if you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
You think you really know what's happening around here, don't you?
We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Hey, this is Woody.
And this is Tyler. And you're listening to That Would Be Rad.
And now, back to our show.
I started watching Smile yesterday.
What's that on? Or did you rent it?
No, it's on like Paramount Plus. We have that for like all the Yellowstone stuff, which I gotta say, man, it's like I don't really love this season of Yellowstone per se. It's like
I never watched
only deal with, hey, here's an obscure country artist, and we're gonna play his entire song while we're showing cowboys rustling cattle, and like I don't know. I mean, I really like the show, as like cliche as that sounds. Like I think it's actually a pretty good show. My wife kind of got me into it. But what is it, 1892? It's like his he has like two sort of like prequels. I didn't love the first one, but this one's actually pretty cool. It's like Harrison Ford and like Helen Mirren. I think it's pretty cool.
Yes, I probably need to watch those at some point.
I lost some cool points, I know.
Never seen it. Oh, Smile. What'd you think?
Well, so I was like working.
Now, don't spoil it.
No, I'm not. I feel like I missed a lot of it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is unfair because I
Well, how about this? Just wait until you finish it and then give us an update. The ones that I saw,
I wasn't
watched,
super impressed.
Okay.
I was just going to say I wasn't super impressed thus far, but I need to go back and give it my full attention.
And that's what we asked you to do, so don't understand why you interrupted me. I'm just kidding, dude. Oh, The Menu on HBO?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't call it like a scary movie. It's more like a thriller, kind of weird.
Is it?
It is definitely weird. The acting's
I thought it was like a comedy.
Phenomenal, dude. It's a weird, like, sort of I don't know that there's not a whole lot of reasons why I would classify it as a dark comedy, which I think that they do. It's more, I don't know. It's weird, but it's worth watching. And freaking, what's his name? Hines, the guy from
Ralph.
Yeah, dude. From what's the movie? One of my favorite movies too, man. Come on, Wes Anderson.
Oh,
The Hotel one. What is it?
God, I almost said Hotel Chevalier, but that's the short that he did. Which I know you love that. With Natalie Portman.
Okay, dude, you didn't have to tell me. You think I forgot? Oh, The Grand Budapest.
Oh yeah.
That is one of the.
Well, this is such synchronicity too, because so my kids and our whole family we really love that show Bluey.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a parent, you probably have never heard of it, but it's awesome. And there's I've noticed there's like an episode where, I mean, it's, sort of very blocky, like artwork, but like color-wise and composition and stuff. There's like a picture in the background, and it's straight up the Grand Budapest Hotel cover. And they'll occasionally like hide like other Wes Anderson stuff, which is pretty awesome.
I love that movie, man. Like that, I love. I haven't seen the French Dispatch. I didn't see the one about the dogs either.
Man,
but outside of that,
really,
is it tough? Tough to get through?
I wanted to love it. It didn't feel like a Wes Anderson movie. Fantastic Mr. Fox is
that's a great one.
So good though.
There's a lot of attitudes going around. Okay, so the scary ones that I watched, The Menu, I don't really know what to think, but I thought the acting was incredible. So I think it's like, if you're into sort of strange, kind of like somewhat commentary on like the, like, it's not social commentary necessarily, but it kind of is, but in a good way. I don't know. I thought it was great in a weird way.
Like for like foodies and stuff?
Foodies, but just like, you'll see, man. I think it's worth a watch. Now, the scary movies I watched on my own because, as we know, my wife will not watch them with me. One that I had always wanted to see and I knew literally nothing about, and I had assumed I knew what it was about, but was pleasantly surprised that it was just weird and different than I thought, was The Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
No, man, with Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah, he's like the main character. He's one of the main characters, man. So maybe
I haven't seen it since it came. I think I saw it at the theater.
It came out in 2011. I mean, it is old, man. Like,
but there's some like big. What director did that? Because it was like a
Drew Goddard.
Oh, is that right?
Oh wow, yeah. So he has done a lot of. He did Bad Times at. Oh wow, he's a producer at Bad Times at El Royale, which also is a great. And he also wrote it. Okay, so I like this guy. Anyhow,
yeah, no, that movie. Boy, if you want a movie that's gonna like flip and have an ending that you were not expecting, that's the one.
Yeah, it's a great one. Bad Times.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, The Cabin in the Woods. Yes, man. Yeah. I had zero idea what was going on. So again, it was. I didn't know what to expect. It was very entertaining, cheesy here and there, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I watched the movie X.
What is that?
So it's got the only person I really know, Brittany Snow. It's basically the premise is, and the girl that plays Wednesday Addams now, who is basically just blowing up, man. But it's also got
I still haven't seen it, but
Maya Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi. Yeah, I am an old man. Martin Henderson. Those are the main ones. But essentially, the premise is in the late 70s. I think it's like 1979. These like sort of indie filmmakers are going to make a porn, and they go into this like remote rural Texas place, and then
I have heard of this.
Yeah, the homeowner that they kind of rent this home from figures out that they're not upstanding people and goes on this rampage. But there's more to it than that. I'm not going to tell you what it is, and I'm not going to spoil it. And apparently there's some prequels that are coming out.
Yeah, I just read it's like a duo, like a team that are making all these.
And it's very weird. It is, because it's set in the 70s, it's very reminiscent of early
like Texas Chainsaw
Massacre vibes. Some of the sort of stuff is kind of cliche. Some of it's like over the top, sort of like, in terms of sexuality and stuff. I mean, this movie is definitely not one to watch with the teens or kids or whatever. I guess that's up to y'all, but I mean, I guess you kind of know that going in because it's called X. But sometimes to me, it was just kind of like, okay. But the actual like horror part of it all was really good, I thought. And also just like the weird aspect is pretty cool too, the way it ends. And you'll see what I mean. Cool. But you got to pay attention to that one a little bit. The other one, sort of lastly, I'll say, this one is called, I don't know if it's The Lamb or just Lamb. You know what I'm talking about? It's got Noomi Rapace or whatever her name is.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, man. Okay, so in the trailer, the reason why it was intriguing to me was in the trailer you see this couple who, it's just called Lamb. This couple who live on this sort of like remote lamb sheep farm. And they're in Iceland, and scenery and photography-wise, this movie is just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Gorgeous.
Cool.
So, like, in the trailer, you see them sort of just kind of, like, living their life, and then one of their lambs has a baby, and I think either something happens. Again, it's one of those that I was, like, doing stuff, and I was paying attention, but, like, it's also subtitled and stuff, so you have to really pay attention. Yeah.
It's tough for me.
I'm sure they have like an English overdub, but I'm
like
not,
a dub,
I'm not into that. So,
although, man, like lately, I feel like Netflix especially has like so many like new sort of foreign films that are dubbed, and like
they're doing a better job.
For me,
now,
I
right?
have to. Dude, they're horrible.
Oh,
Like
really?
the second that I hear the first sentence, I'm like, that's dubbed off.
Well, there's
it's just super like, I don't know,
like over the top, sort of like
that. But it's just there's like just a specific like, I don't know how to explain it. There's just like a vibe that says like, hey, this isn't a real voice.
This in the AV booth. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, let me just talk about this movie. So in the trailer, and this is what hooked me. Like it's kind of like freaky, and all of a sudden you see them, these people. You assume that in the trailer they're like they don't have any kids, and all of a sudden you see them like holding hands with a child-size person, but it's got a sheep face, and you're like, what?
What?
And so that's it, man. And it seems scary. It seems weird. And so I was like, dude, I got to see this. Like, what is this about? Now, thankfully, it wasn't another one of those. I don't even want to say the name of that movie. My God. The fact that I just thought about it again is going to ruin my week. But this movie is not necessarily one of those that I would like recommend. Like, everybody has to see this. It's a movie that, like, if you don't have anything else to watch and you want to watch, I know it sounds stupid, but if you want to watch something weird and you're in that vibe, Tyler, you love that stuff.
Yeah, I love
Get the deer antlers out.
I mean, is it like Midsummer and like?
It's not as good.
That
like
kind of sort of
Midsummer, but
folklore kind of vibe?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
But not as, this one is a lot more, it's kind of like, you know those movies where there's just a lot of just visually just very, very well done. The way they set up the shots, the lighting. Yeah. It's just a beautiful sort of movie. But they do that a lot. And so really the part that makes it sort of mysterious and quote unquote like any kind of anxiety or fear is just like instead of it being like sort of like fast paced, they just like really stretched it out and slowed it down. And so
Which
that
I
gives
like
you,
that.
it gives you that anxious feeling. And so like it makes you, like I had to finish this movie to figure like what is going on here.
Yeah.
So I would say to you, Tyler, definitely give it a watch because it's so weird. I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
To anybody listening, I don't really know if I would recommend it necessarily, again, unless you don't really have a whole lot on your plate in terms of what to watch these days. I know that this may or may not have been an exciting premiere episode to you, but it certainly was to me. It's exactly what the doctor ordered, in my opinion. And it's a great way, again, to kick off what I feel like is going to be our best season ever. We've got so many different topics and stuff that we've been dying to sort of dive into and get going on that I know I can say like we're pumped, man. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be awesome.
Now, one thing that I wanted to remind everybody about, and it's just top of mind because we just happened to get one of these today, is that if you ever want us to cover a specific topic, there's several ways you can do that. Obviously, you can message us on Instagram or send us an email, but also like you can utilize our website, thatwouldberadpodcast.com, to send us a voice message, kind of like this one.
Okay, cool.
This thing on? Yep. Okay. Hey, this is Dorian. I live in Kansas City, and was wondering when you guys are going to do an episode on the Mandela Effect. I recently had a funny thing happen at work where we were all kind of talking about it, and we were all like, no way, man, I totally remember this thing this way. And it turned out, according to the Google, it was another way. In this instance, it was the Hyatt Regency walkway collapse in Kansas City. It was a local thing that happened in the 80s. A bunch of people died, and we all kind of remembered it as being a New Year's Eve celebration where all these people were standing on this walkway in the hotel, and it collapsed. I think over 100 people died. And when we Googled it, it turned out it happened in the summer and not on New Year's. And it was like some kind of dance that was going on. So we all kind of were like blown away that was not New Year's. So, because we all remembered it that way, except for like a couple guys. So anyways, Mandela Effect, show idea. Good luck. Love your show. Keep it up, guys.
Man, I love it.
So, hey, Dorian from Kansas City, thank you so much, man, for reaching out. And the good news here, Dorian, is that we actually have already done an episode about the Mandela Effect, and that's season 1, episode 26, entitled The Mega Mandela Effect episode, because I think at the time that was our longest episode. Now, most of our episodes are, I think, that long anyway. You can check that out. And for anyone that is curious, if we have done a episode on any specific topic, again, if you go to our website at thatwouldberadpodcast.com, you can click on the episode page, and there's an option in that tab that says all episodes. And when you go there, there's a search bar that says search episodes, and you can type in, a keyword to a specific topic, whether it's Bigfoot or video game,
Andrew
or
WK,
or Mandela Effect. And you will see any and all episodes that we've covered, whatever topic it is that you're looking for. So that's a great way to sort of hear us talk about that. But if you have something that, like Dorian, you haven't heard on our show yet but would like us to cover, I think this is an awesome way to kind of do it. So you can go to our website and do it from there.
So as far as the Mandela Effect, we actually do have some topics that we're going to cover in this season that are very much adjacent to the Mandela Effect phenomenon. Also, there's this, it's so weird that this reminded me of this, but there's this thing called the Shrinking Mill in Port Colbert. Did you see that video I sent you?
Oh, yeah.
What's happening in that video?
Yeah. So I watched it a couple of times, and like at first I didn't know what the hell they were talking about because it wasn't shrinking for me.
Yeah, but right at the end, boy, it really shrinks.
Yeah, I think it's a what's it called? Like a
illusion.
Yeah, because they're moving toward it in the road and the things around. Because like if you cover the road, it just looks the same size the whole time.
I disagree. I'm watching it right now.
Yeah, it looks weird, but like for real, they're like, I had the sound off by accident. I was like, what in the world's going on here? And then like I clicked the sound on, they're like, see it? What's going on? And I'm like, what are these people talking about? And they're like, it's shrinking. I'm like, what? No, it's not. And then I could see how it like visually kind of, I don't know, man. Some of the like,
no way, dude.
Or like I saw one the other day that was like, this is evidence that there's lizard people. And it's like, imagine, say you dig around my kid's toy box and you find an old, unused phone that just happened, like first 2002 camera phone. And you took a video of it, but you were taking a video of someone who had TV that didn't, zero HD. You go to your grandparents' house, there's no HD. They're watching that. You're using this phone from 2002 and you're filming it, and then you upload it. So in other words, it's the most distorted flipping thing I've ever seen of like C-SPAN. And they're like, see, it's a reptile. And you're like, dude.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, I will say that it's kind of unfortunate because I know exactly what you're talking about, but and I'm not going to ramble for too long because I know we're wrapping up, but there are some weird things from like around the world, but it's almost like so many of those sort of, I don't want to say like poorer countries, but like, I think a lot of those, I mean, I don't know if it's all like third world, but it's like a lot of that stuff, I think they are still using like flip phones basically to video a lot of this stuff.
This was like a American just filming C-SPAN.
Oh yeah, no. Now I do put a lot of credit on like, what is it, like CCTV footage. Like some of that stuff's like kind of blurry, but like it's just the nature of, what it is.
Yeah.
In like Russia and around the world.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I should apologize to you and the guest a little bit just for, so the last episode with Joshua Cushion, he's been like, I know we said it on the show, but he's been like a hero of mine for a long, long time. And I just think he's a really brilliant voice in this field because, he takes these topics that are sort of, I guess for the most part, like throwaway topics. Like he has a book on like food left behind from like in these weird sort of paranormal type events and stuff. And like, then he has another one on smells and like stuff. It's just stuff that like is so reoccurring, but like it's just sort of throwaway like material. And he like makes a valid like case for all these things to be sort of somewhat connected, which is a big theme here on the show and stuff that, that's a thing that we really love about our world and all these fringe topics. But I got to apologize, I think, because I felt like I was just so excited that I finally was able to talk to him because I've listened to him on podcasts and stuff for years. And I don't know that I let you get a word in that much.
No, dude, it's all good, man. I knew that you're going to have a ton to talk with him about, and so I just I let it ride.
Yeah, I mean, and especially for listeners that may have just jumped in there, like, I mean, we got into some pretty heady topics.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I had a blast. He was just so great. I mean, it's like I wrote him after we got off the episode, and it's like you hear often don't meet your heroes, but man, he turned out to be, I mean, he fit right in with us, and it was awesome. It was really great.
It was really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us for our kickoff episode of 2023. It's going to be an awesome season and the best one yet. If you want to reach out to us, like Woody said, hit us up over on thatwouldberadpodcast.com. If you have your own urban legend or your own story or suggestion for an upcoming episode, you're able to message us there, but you're also able to, like Dorian, directly leave a voice message, which is awesome. We always love hearing from you guys. If you want to hit us up on social media, we're over on Instagram. Jump in the comments, send us a DM. If you want to write us something that's a little more lengthy, maybe an essay perhaps, you can send it to thatwouldberadpod@gmail.com. Go on our link tree on Instagram, buy us a coffee, buy some merch, spread the love, hit up it's still pretty new to me, but our Patreon, the Rabbit Trail. If you're just not getting, your fill for the main feed, hey, head on over there because it really, really helps us out. Tell a single person about the show, anybody that may be into weird stuff or 80s and 90s nostalgia or any of the random stuff that we ramble on about. Just tell that one friend. It makes a huge difference. Give us a 5-star review.
Kind of like this review entitled, Wow, Just Wow. I stumbled upon this show and I feel like the luckiest person alive for doing so. I'm 100% officially obsessed. I found myself spending day after day after day with my headphones on, binging and trying to get caught up to having listened to every episode. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting close. It's such a brilliant show and I'm recommending it to everyone I know. Thank you, Woody and Tyler, for this obsession. Larry. Thank you, Larry. Very much. Wow. Let's see. Love this podcast. This is without a doubt my favorite podcast. Love all the topics. It's as random as me. Keep up the great work, Paul Wallace. I love that. That's amazing. And just like Paul said, we are very random, and we thank you for being here with us.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of said since day one, I think it hurts us in a lot of ways, but we're not a podcast that is just paranormal, or we're not a podcast that's just for the tape heads and the 80s and 90s nostalgia. It's it's just a podcast that we just talk about the things that we're into and we think and that excite us about living, in our world today. The goal from the beginning was to not necessarily dig into one vein or one topic for the show, but to meet and have other folks that were like us, join our journey.
Yeah, man. And the past couple of years have just been amazing. The fact that we're on our third season is just amazing in and of itself. So we're excited. Mm-hmm. We've got some exciting guests that we're going to have on this year. We've got really exciting topics that we're going to be talking about. And so we're just excited to be back, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, dude. Me too, man. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always,
be rad.
That's the way it goes. My favorite song on the radio. black clouds in a time where I just needed some sunshine. You were already dead, for you became a ghost. You always said our future would be a parade of flowers, but now all that's left is a single rose. That's the way it goes.
Access granted.
There we go.
Sounded
Welcome
great,
back. What? Okay.
I said
Happy
you sounded
New
great,
Year
pal.
and an amazing 2023 to you.
And who wants to be a millionaire?
Go ahead and cut me going, because I didn't know you were going to do that there.
Hey, man. If you don't trust my
cut
editing
me out.
at this point, you think I don't know to keep you from just like clearing your throat on the mic?
Hey, man.
Come on, pal.
I've noticed that you've left a lot of stuff where I'm like, hey.
Oh, yeah. Only because I think it's hilarious. It's my revenge, man.